Good evening and welcome into SportsZone. I'm your host, Steven Lucero, and it was a very historic night last night at the American Airlines Center. Luka Doncic made his long-awaited return to Dallas following the very controversial trade. It was a show. I'm joined by Rohan Srinivasan and Kenzie Neely. We're going to talk all about it. Rohan, I know you were at the game, so before we get into anything, just tell me, what was the atmosphere like, Luka returning to Dallas?
It was unbelievable, man. Like, the first half especially, cheering after every time he got the ball, man, you just heard the crowd going nuts. And especially at the free throw line, fire Nico chants. I couldn't wait for that to happen. It happened on every single shot attempt. And it was crazy to me, and fans have their say, and that's what it is.
Yeah, I was watching the broadcast, and it was insane. I mean, just looking at, before anything started, Luka's reaction just to the pre-video the Mavs had, tribute to him and his time here. I mean, I don't think that there was a dry eye in that building. No. I mean, when I saw Luka Doncic shedding tears, it just felt like, wow, like really, I mean, he talked about closure after the game, but right here he mentioned that he was surprised if he was going to even be able to play, much less put on the performance he did. So, Kenzie, how was this? You know, thank you for everything, Luka, the Mavs. How do you think it was just for him making this return and playing so well at that?
I mean, whenever I saw it this morning, I almost shed a tear. Right? I'm not even a Mavs fan, but seeing Luka cry like that, like, oh my gosh, you can tell this really meant something to him. Like, this wasn't like something that we've seen with other players. Like, whenever Jimmy went to go play for Miami, like, he really could care less about the video that they gave him. But like this, like, Luka was emotional. He was crying. And he even said afterwards that, like, he didn't know if he could play after that. And the performance that he had, we showed that he could play after that.
Yeah, he definitely showed, and he showed everyone why they probably shouldn't have made this trade. You know, I think 45 points. Anthony Davis didn't have his best game either, unfortunately, for the Mavs side of things. But it was a close game for most of it. Lakers really took over at the end, but it just, I don't know, it never felt like the Mavs were winning this game. Rohan, Luka, his performance, break it down. And you talked about, you know, the crowd getting into it. How much of a factor did that play?
Oh, a huge factor, man. Also, end of the season, like those last 3 games, it's a game on April the 9th. It's not even a playoff game, but it felt like a finals game whenever I was there. Even J.J. Redick said it in postgame, he's superhuman. Dropping 45 points, I think it was 6 assists, 8 rebounds. He is superhuman, and
Yeah, and it's just, it goes so much beyond just the game itself. You talked about, it was something I'd never seen before at the beginning of this game. Every time Luka got the ball, the stadium just erupted in cheers. I mean, he was getting more cheers than when the Mavs made baskets. And then it felt like the whole first quarter, it was back and forth. The Mavs score, there's cheers. Luka scores, there's cheers. And it just shows that I think so many of these fans are Mavs fans, yes, but Luka fans, you know, maybe even above all.
That's one of the things that I wrote down is, like, whenever I was watching games, it really felt like Mavs fans even wanted the Lakers to win just because of how much they love Luka. And watching Luka, like, really perform this game, like he has it in the past, like, 10 games, like, he really came out there and he proved himself. I don't think that's what he was intending to do this game, but, like, he did it. And, like, so many of the fans were there and they were excited to see it happen.
And Kenzie's spot on. I was rooting for the Lakers, actually. I'm a diehard Mavs fan, but I was rooting for the Lakers, too, just because of what has transpired over the past month. Since February 2nd, he's been done dirty, and you could tell. Usually whenever a player comes back for the homecoming game, it's always boos. But this time I'm happy that the Mavs fans understand that he was done dirty in a trade, and it isn't working out for the Mavs either.
Yeah, so I wanted to regrade the trade, but I don't know. After last night's performance, I think I know what answer I'm going to expect. Kenzie, how are you feeling about this trade a couple months later?
I mean, for the Mavs, I think it's still a bad trade. Of course, at the end of the day, it's always going to be a bad trade. AD, he is an amazing player. I just don't think the Mavs is for him. I really don't. I don't know if he's going to be able to ever get to that potential that they think he's going to get to have unless he has another role player, and he doesn't have Kyrie right now. So, like, he's alone, and it's going to be very tough for him to even try to make it any further. But with the Lakers, I definitely think that having LeBron, Austin Reeves, and Luka, that's the dream team right there. I'm not even a Lakers fan. I'm actually a big Lakers hater. Quote me on that today. Can't stand him. But I do like me a good Luka, so it's really fun to see him play at that, like, potential.
Yeah, and you were talking about the trade, right? Who sold? So let's talk about it. 2 key players. I don't want to throw shade on Max Christie. We know who the Lakers got. They got Luka Doncic. We got Anthony Davis. He's a great role player, but it was basically a Luka-AD swap. Luka had 45. AD had 13. And if people want to point out, he had 11 rebounds, That's pretty embarrassing, bro. You still had a double-double, respectable, but I really thought whenever he said it's all business, no emotions, I really thought he would come out and actually show up, and he really didn't.
Yeah, and I think that's what I wanted to talk about too, because Anthony Davis has sort of been the forgotten piece of this trade in a way. It's all the attention is on Luka, but obviously this was AD's first game against the Lakers, and we saw LeBron sort of messing with them a little bit, and Anthony Davis just, I don't know, he looked a little bit out of it to me last night. I don't know if that was just me, but he's had some good performances. I was at one a few games back, and with his incredible game-winning runner, he's had these moments, but he's not Luka Magic. And do you think that he was feeling that pressure in this game?
Yep, the only reason why he had 11 boards, he's standing under the basket, and they're these like easy-ass rebounds. Oh, sorry. But what I'm trying to say is that whenever you have 13 points, you have to, Luka scored 3 times as much as AD did.
Yep.
So that shows. And the only reason why Anthony Davis did not play against the Mavs last time is because he was injured. They traded for a guy because they thought that Luka was injury prone. Try Anthony Davis now.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Him staying healthy, that's a big concern for me. But on the bright side, because the Suns lost last night, the Mavs did manage to clinch a spot in the play-in tournament. They will at least be the 10th seed. So I want to ask you, Kenzie, how are you feeling about the Mavs' chances to make maybe any sort of run in the play-in tournament?
I don't feel very good about it. I'm not going to lie, because it's looking like they're going to play the Kings. Unless, like, by some grace of God, something happens, they're going to play the Kings. Unless the Kings lose these next 2 games, which I highly doubt they're going to, they're going to play them. And every time they played the Kings this year, this season, this postseason, it's been losses. And it's been by an average of over 12 points. So they have a lot coming up. Like, if they want to be able to play the Kings and get to that, they're going to need a healthy Kyrie, and that's not happening. That's not happening.
If they get a home playing game, though, they'll probably win that.
You think so?
I think their potential is being an 8th seed and then getting gentlemen swept, to be quite honest with you. There's no ceiling.
That's the thing, and I feel like, there's going to be something. Obviously this is at least Davis, Lively, Gafford able to come back. I think it was nice to at least see this Mavs lineup healthy. Yeah. I think that's, at least hope for the Mavs maybe going forward, but for this season, it feels like a long shot.
It's not working. Too injury prone throughout the whole season, you can't do anything now.
Yep, so I want to zoom out just a little bit and look at the NBA as a whole, because with the playoff push coming, there's a lot going on, and there's been some surprising moves. Some of these coaches being fired recently. Taylor Jenkins from the Grizzlies, and an even bigger Michael Malone from the Nuggets. I mean, these are moves, and these are 2 playoff teams. I mean, they will be in the playoffs in just a few days following the play-in tournament. And you decide to make these moves, firing a coach in Mike Malone that won a championship just 2 years back. And it was shocking to me. I mean, just to do it with just a few games left in the season. Rohan, are you surprised by this move? And most of all, why now?
Very. Out of all the NBA coaches, you fired these 2 who've had such success. And going into the playoffs with 3 games left, there has to be something inside the lines that we don't know about, to be quite honest with you. The only reason I could think of with Taylor Jenkins in general is that teams above 500, the teams that they played, they don't have a very good record against. Yes. Teams that the Grizzlies will have to play. But for Michael Malone, man, I don't know what happened. He's brought a championship to that city for, I honestly just don't know. Like I said, there's something inside the lines that we just don't know about.
Yeah, Malone is the all-time winningest Nuggets coach, obviously brought their championship last couple years ago. He's meant so much to that franchise, and there's some of the concerns. It was like maybe he was giving special treatment to Jokic or Murray, Westbrook, and I don't know. It's just, I think the timing more than anything. They fired not only the coach but the general manager with, I believe it was 5 games left in the season. So now this team, I mean, Jokic is having an MVP season. He'll probably be the runner-up with Shea, but this is a team that's wanting to make a deep run. Now everything's turned upside down. Kenzie, do you think the Nuggets can do something, or do you think that this will really throw them off going into the playoffs?
I mean, it's really hard to tell because, I mean, not only have they recently just lost Jamal Murray, he hasn't been playing for, 5-6 games now? It's been really tough for them, but you still have Jokic at the end of the day. And so they haven't been able to worry that much. They're still able to play. They've been playing like crazy. But having the past 5 or 8 games losing streak, and they're people are starting to get upset with them because this isn't how they're used to playing and yada yada yada. They're still one of the best in the league right now. They're 48-32. Right. That's not something to whine about. I promise you. I'm a Golden State fan. It's not something to be too worried about. But it definitely shows where there might be something going on behind the scenes that we just can't see. Right. A lot of people were talking about locker room conversations and favoritism and things like that, especially with Taylor Jenkins. But I don't know if the Nuggets are going to be able to pull all the way through, because what it looked like from the last game is that Jokic was coaching the team. So it's going to be difficult.
The only question is, who do they get now? you're so late into the season. How are you going to recover?
Yeah, obviously
my question.
the
There
interim
is
coach.
rumors of Taylor Jenkins.
For the Nuggets?
That's what there's
Oh, that would be a
rumors.
surprise.
Hey, I'd like that.
Rumors.
Well,
There's
there you go.
rumors.
Make a trade.
That works, yeah.
It was just so surprising. And obviously, we've seen a whole season of shocking moves, and we thank Luka here in Dallas for everything he's done for the city. Really happy to see him back. But his Lakers era continues, and we're going to continue on and talk about the Masters coming up next.
Craving something fresh, flavorful, and made just for you? Look no further than Avesta, your go-to destination for a delicious, full-service dining experience. Dive into our customizable omelets, expertly crafted by our talented cook Jonathan, who guarantees every bite is perfection. All our dishes are handmade, prepared with only the freshest ingredients. Explore our assembly line where you can choose from any of our globally inspired dishes, or customize your plate. It's that easy. And let's not forget dessert. Indulge your sweet tooth with treats from Clark Bakery. With convenient payment methods including card or flex, it's the perfect dining spot for any occasion. Quench your thirst with our wide selection of drinks. Just hand your drinking card to our friendly waiter, and they'll bring your beverage of choice right to your table. When you're done savoring every last bite, our attentive staff will whisk away your tray. Enjoy the peaceful ambiance as you dine in, or use our takeout option for a meal on the go. Avesta.
Welcome back to SportsZone. I'm joined by Timmy Scott and Sean Hunley, and we're going to talk about the Masters. Just teed off this morning in Augusta, Georgia. Obviously, one of the most iconic tournaments in really all sports of the year. We just got done with March Madness, but this is something obviously different type of tournament here, but it's something that's just really special. And, you know, we're off to a pretty exciting start. So, Sean, what have you seen so far from the Masters today?
You know, just domination from Scottie Scheffler. You know, he's going for that second, you know, back-to-back Masters championship. You know, then another green jacket for him. I really liked his style of play today. I'm really impressed with how good Rory's done so far. I mean, he's kind of starting to go down into a slump to finish off the first day. But I mean, for the most part, it's been the underdogs that have impressed me. The guys that you didn't really expect to see up there in the leaderboard, they're up there. I mean, you got a couple of guys that haven't been in the leaderboard in quite a while. I mean, you know, and then you got your guys that have been expected to kind of be up there in the leaderboard. They're not doing well. So, I mean, you know, it's kind of what I expected, but not really what I expected, you know. So it's like bits and pieces that I really like. But, I mean, I just love this time of year. Looking forward to the rest of the weekend. Yeah,
it's sort of madness in April, right? Expect the unexpected just a little bit. Timmy, what have you thought of the field as a whole and the leaders right now?
Well, for the field as a whole, course is playing scoreable today. Lots of people 1 under, 2 under. And for the leaders, Justin Rose, out of nowhere, shooting a 7 down, 3 strokes on the field. Got Corey Connors, who's been playing hot, right there, tied for second with Scottie Scheffler at 4 down. So some unexpected names at the top are playing really good golf. Just the putters are getting hot. It's a really scoreable day, and the players are taking advantage.
Cool thing about Corey Connors, if he actually ends up winning this tournament, Steven, he will be the oldest player to win a Masters. I believe since, I can't remember the guy's name. It's a strange name, but yeah, he'd be the oldest guy to win a Masters at 44. The last guy was 41.
Yeah, there you go. And there's the leaderboard right now. Justin Rose, Corey Connors, Scheffler, Rory McIlroy, Tyrell Hatton, Aaron Rao, and Jason Day rounding up the top 6, tied for 6. It's been an impressive day, obviously, like we said, up and down. Been a very impressive performance for Justin Rose. This one just kind of came out of nowhere. Sean, how are you feeling about his chances to, obviously he's done great today, but sustain this lead deep into the tournament?
Yeah, I mean, you know, one thing, if you look at kind of Justin Rose's stat line, really, you know, he's finished outside the top 10, you know, in 3 years straight between 2020 and 2023. So, I mean, like I said, it's really impressive. You know, it's like it wasn't somebody I expected to kind of be where he is right now. And so the fact that he's having such a great game, that's what I love about the Masters, is because there's always somebody that jumps out in the lead that you just never really expect. Versus if you look at the line of guys that were expected to win, they're just not really where you think they should be. So I mean, I think going forward for Justin Rose, he's definitely got to make sure his putting game is on top. You know, doing what Scotty Scheffler does, make sure you are good in the bunkers, because I mean that's how Scotty's been able to kind of preserve his I believe 4-under lead so far, tied for second.
Yes, and I want to talk a little bit more about Scotty Scheffler. Obviously, the defending champion, he was on a tear in 2024. I mean, just dominating all levels of golf, even the Olympics, bringing home gold. I mean, it just felt like it was his year. And this year, it's been a little bit different. Sort of a rough start for him. He had the weird kitchen injury with his hand, and it just felt like it threw him off. You know, it took him some time to come back from that, and it just felt like something's been just a little bit off. You know, he was even talking about allergies coming into the Masters with all the pollen. But it feels like he's kind of silenced all that just a little bit. You know, in second place right now, he's sort of settled in. And how do you expect him to continue through this tournament? And do you think he has what it takes to go back to back?
Certainly he does. You know, I expect him to get even more comfortable as the weekend goes on. I mean, the way just his body, you know, you talked about the allergies, he'll adjust as the weekend goes on. But also just his game. You know, his short game was a little off today, but that's something, you know, just a little practice can fix. And so certainly he's done it before twice. He can do it a third time. So I expect him to settle well and finish that top 3, certainly, for the tournament.
All right. How are you feeling about Scheffler being able to go deep this time?
I mean, like I said, I've continued to praise Scotty. Even whenever we did this last year, I mean, I just love the way he plays. He's so good when it comes to short game and his putting. I mean, he's been able to set himself up a couple of times. I mean, really, I think on his hole number 2, he had a crazy bunker shot to set up an easy putt. He did it again on 8 with an even better shot. I mean, just his iron game is so well-rounded. I mean, just the way he carries himself in this tournament, no matter where he is, he just loves to play here. And I mean, we've seen it the past couple of years. I mean, if he wins this, it'd be the first player since Tiger Woods to go back-to-back since, I think, 2001, 2002. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, I don't know. Go Scotty. That's all I can say. I mean, the guy's killing it.
Yeah, he's going for history. And another guy that I'm sort of rooting for is Rory McIlroy. He's in a situation where he's just one away from the major tournament sweeps. He just needs that Masters. And obviously, a chance to do it here, a bit of an older age. You know, I think he's really had a strong season, though, this year, kind of bouncing back and really proving himself still to be one of the world's best golfers. Sean, how are you feeling about Rory and his chances to maybe make a run here at the Masters?
I mean, this has been his best start, I believe, since 2011, at least for the front 9. Mm-hmm. I mean, last time he was, I think, 4-under was back in 2011. I mean, his past 10 years of competing in the Masters, he has just had a terrible first day. So, you know, seeing Rory where he is right now has been quite a shock, because it's just something you don't really see from Rory. You want him to get that Grand Slam title. Unfortunately, he just does not do well in many majors, especially in the Masters. Mm-hmm. So, like I said, I want to see him win it. I want to see him get that Grand Slam title, but it's tough to put my odds on Rory just because of how he's done in the past, 12 to 13 years of his play. So, I'm rooting for him, but I don't know. We'll see.
It's going to be interesting. Timmy, how are you feeling about Rory? Do you think he can kind of finally get that Masters title this time, or do you think something's just going to shake him up again?
I think for him, it's got to be the mental game. You know, he certainly can do it. He has the ability. He's proven it over and like his career. He certainly is a good enough golfer to do it. But he's got to get over the mental game. A lot of the times, what you see is one little mistake snowballs for him, piles up, and then next thing you know, he's dropped 8, 9, 10 spots on the leaderboard. So for Rory, he's got to clean up the mental game, make sure he finishes his round strong, and keeps things going the way they are now. And I certainly think he can get it done this year.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. I'm rooting for him. You know, to pick up that Grand Slam, I think would be really special, especially at this point in his career.
Especially after what happened between the whole PGA and LIV thing. I mean, like, how could you not root for Rory with all the stuff he's had to overcome? So, I mean, I really can't stress enough how much I wanted to get that Grand Slam title just to see him persevere and win it all.
Yeah, and look at you just taking the words right out of my mouth, Sean. That's exactly where I wanted to go next. Obviously, the PGA and LIV golf has been such a hot topic of all these golfers, you know, either staying with the PGA or going over to the Saudi Arabian LIV tournament or LIV tour. It's something that's kind of complicated things. The Masters, I think, has kind of done a good job at sort of unifying everyone coming back, but guys like Jon Rahm, who won just a couple years back, DeChambeau, joining the LIV tour. How are you guys feeling about them coming back at the Masters and trying to sort of prove themselves once again as some of the top golfers in the world, even though they're not on the PGA tour? Go ahead. Yeah.
I mean, you know, I kind of expected it. You know, I didn't expect the LIV tour to last kind of by itself too long. It's just, you're not getting the views. You could pump in all the money you want. Mm-hmm. Unfortunately, you're just not going to get the views unless you combine the two guys. I mean, and it made for a great TV last year whenever we had the Masters, because you got this big rivalry between the LIV guys and the guys that stayed on PGA for less money or, you know, and whatnot. But in the end, you know, I felt bad. That's what I really felt bad for Rory about, was because he ended up getting the short end of the stick when they end up combining. So he stayed true, and then it was all for nothing. So, I mean, hell, Brooks Koepka had a great Masters tournament last year until he fell off at the very end. Bryson, he's okay.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
I mixed feelings on DeChambeau,
exactly. That's
man.
all it is. At the end of the day, it's mixed feelings.
Yeah, so definitely a lot of mixed feelings. Timmy, how are you feeling?
Yeah, just, again, mixed feelings. You got to think the Masters is all about good golf. And when you're watching the Masters, you're watching for the golf. And I think there certainly are guys on the LIV Tour who can play as well as anybody on the PGA Tour. Those top guys, they're as the best golfers in the world regardless of where they're playing. So at the top, you expect to see good golf. But it's just the whole rivalry between it, it's just unfortunate for the fans of golf because the Masters is not, you're not trying to think about LIV and PGA.
Exactly.
You're thinking this is all-time classic golf. There should be no thoughts of this rivalry between brands, and so that's my thoughts on that.
Yeah, it's definitely a complicated issue, and we'll see how it all shakes out, but it's going to be exciting to watch the Masters this weekend. It's going to be really some great competition, but we're going to move on to some baseball and talk about the Texas Rangers.
There's no harm in wanting to have fun while in college, but it's easy to lose track of how much you've had. Apps like Drink Control and Alkadroit can help keep track of your consumption and blood alcohol levels. If you or someone else does drink too much, the signs of alcohol poisoning are as follows: pale skin, vomiting, confusion, low body temperatures, irregular breathing, blacking out, and is hard to wake up or cannot be woken up.
Dude, are you okay? Hey, what's wrong? Wake up.
It's an exciting time of year, but it's important to be responsible. If you suspect someone is suffering from alcohol poisoning, get help immediately. You will not get in trouble for seeking help if you are underage. For more info and resources, go to UNT's Division of Student Affairs.
Hey, Alex. This guy on the internet says he wants to give me money.
That sounds suspicious.
What do you mean?
Typically, strangers who promise you money on the internet have their own best interest in mind. They often use bounce checks, which will disappear shortly after depositing, but not before they've asked for some money in return.
So he doesn't really want to spoil me.
No.
Well, then what should I do?
The best way to handle it is to block and report the suspicious message, or even consult local law enforcement if you've already fallen victim.
So I guess we aren't going to Key West for spring break.
No.
Welcome back to SportsZone. I'm your host, Steven Lucero. We're going to talk here about the Texas Rangers. They've gotten off to a very strong 9-4 start, despite some very up and downs looking at pitching and batting. So here to talk to me with this, Ian Sparkman and Nick Volpetti. And it's an interesting issue for the Rangers because 9-4 on top of the American League, it feels like everything's great, right? But it's been weird. It's been a weird start to the season. That's all I'll say. Pitching's been incredible. Batting's been less than incredible. Ian, I'll ask you, what have you thought about the Rangers and their start to the season?
Hey man, who has it better than us, all right? This is the best run sports franchise in DFW. I know that, the Stars might have something to say about that, all right? Maybe a little something to say about that. But Chris Young is an incredible GM. He's a World Series winning GM. This is a World Series caliber team. And I think we're already seeing that in the early going of the season, all right? The bats have been cold, and we're going to talk more about that throughout the show. But they're going to heat up. We're doing great. I'm really excited for this year.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. I think the Rangers are certainly at least top two in Dallas-Fort Worth when you compare them to the Cowboys and the Mavericks. I mean, they just blow them out of the water.
Yeah, no competition
it's
there.
It's not even
sure.
close. Yeah, like you said, it's been kind of a weird season, and we'll talk a little bit more about that in depth later. But been very impressed with the pitching so far. So yeah, I think it's been good as a whole.
Yeah, definitely. And, compared to everyone else, I would agree as well. The Stars have been good, but that collapse, man, that stressed me out.
Yeah.
But back to Texas. So the Rangers, it's been up and down. They lost their first series to the Cubs. They dropped it 1-2. So not the worst. They've been winning all the other series, and it's been just weird because 6 runs is their high of the entire season, but pitching has been lights out. The Stars have been really good. The bullpen in its infancy, basically, it's been completely rebuilt, has been really strong. Looking at some highlights here, nice job there in center field. But it's just been, I don't know. This was a strange series for the Cubs, against the Cubs. Those first 2 games they were caught in the cold. I mean, Kevin Pillar there, he's all bundled, but it felt like the Rangers just were a little off. They definitely got it going in that 3rd game. Definitely impressive. We'll see that a little bit later. But how are you guys feeling just the discrepancy between pitching and batting so far?
It makes me a little nervous, but at the same time, there's so many boppers in this lineup.
Yes.
Like, there's so many fantastic bats. There's so many established bats, too. It's not like these are just, like, rookies who don't have that experience in the big leagues, right? We have guys who are cold right now, like Jock Peterson, who he's an established big leaguer, and he has been consistently good as a hitter. Like, there's a reason he's a full-time DH in the MLB. Like, he can hit. He has a long career of doing it. And so, like, I think a guy like Jock is going to heat up. I think other guys like Jake Berger are going to heat up. Corey Seager seems like he's already showing signs of heating up.
Yes.
We saw him hit those 2 home runs in the series finale, like you said, a big bounce back to end the series for him and get a win in that getaway game. So I'm a little nervous, but I think the bats will get there.
Yeah, I do as well. It's just been a little frustrating, I think, to start the season. Looking, Seager and Wyatt Langford are the only 2 players batting above 200 right now, and it drops off quick after that. And it's concerning when you have a guy like Jock who is supposed to be this DH and he's batting below 100. And it's just no home runs, no RBIs. It's been a slow start, but I do think the bats will come. Nick, do you think the batting is just something of, getting those early season jitters out of the way, or do you think this is a bigger concern for the Texas?
I think it's just some early season jitters. Okay. I think in baseball, it can take a long time for the stats to kind of normalize. I think the pitching will just naturally take a little bit of a dip. I don't think you can keep seeing guys like Jack Leiter having a .9 ERA. It's going to do that. I hope he can finish with an ERA like around 3 or something like that. And it's just not really possible for guys to keep hitting like 0.94 or like 119, which is what Jake Berger's hitting right now. I think just naturally you'll start to see the stats start to normalize a little bit more. You'll see guys start to get the bats going. I think hitting can also be contagious in both ways, and I think we've seen it in the bad way thus far this season. Yeah. I think if just a couple guys can get going, sort of get the momentum back in this lineup, it'll start to help everyone else get going as well.
Yeah, I agree, and I think the injury bug has been a part of it as well. I mean, Josh Young, as always, started so hot, went down with the injury. Wyatt Langford has been our best batter. He just went on the IL with an abdominal strain. So it's like once these guys come back, I don't expect those to be long-term issues. I think that'll bring that boost. But yeah, I definitely think it's just a matter of settling in because you have such a stacked lineup. I mean, just looking through the order, Simeon, Seager, Garcia, Jock. I mean, it's, of course, Wyatt Langford once he comes back. You have too much talent on this team to be hitting this poorly. And I think, it'll bounce back. But looking from a pitching standpoint, it's been the exact opposite. For me, coming into the season, I was a lot more concerned about pitching, and particularly the bullpen. But it's been lights out. I mean, the starters have been really, really good. Nathan Eovaldi threw a complete game shutout a few games back, struggled a little more against the Cubs, but we won't worry about that. He'll bounce back as always. But you talked about Leiter batting, pitching under a 1 ERA. He's been absolutely incredible. Of course, he had to get hurt too. He'll be back soon. Just a blister. But pitching has been really impressive. So, Ian, what have you seen from the starters so far this year?
I mean, how about what we saw from Tyler Mahle in this game that we're watching right here, the getaway game that they won? He went, I believe it was 7 innings, 1 earned run. I think he had 4 strikeouts. And, he's not really a strikeout pitcher. He's looking for soft contact with that good splitter that he has. We've seen that from Nathan Eovaldi already early in the season. And we even saw it from Kumar Rocker in his most recent start at home against the Rays. He was fantastic in that start. I'd love to see him using the sinker more. He was having a really hard time throwing his 4-seam, and it was getting hit so hard. So seeing him throw that sinker more and get more of that weak contact has been really encouraging. I love everything we're seeing from the pitching staff right now. Maddox has done a fantastic job as our pitching coach ever since he's been here, and I'm loving what I'm seeing so far.
Yeah, especially with some of these young guys. I mean, Leiter, Rocker, some really solid starts to the season. Of course, we got to talk about Jacob deGrom. I mean, he's finally back, healthy, and he's looking like his old self. I think that's really good to see deGrom because, this is a legend. This is one of the best pitchers in baseball, of course, when healthy. It's always the when healthy, but he has been so far. So I'll ask you, Nick, the starters combined with the bullpen, what have you liked to see from the bullpen so far?
It's been great. I think this bullpen, like you said, we came into the season a little concerned about the bullpen. There's a lot of new look guys, but I think someone like Chris Martin, a veteran who can help these new pitchers a lot. Chris Martin, I think, is one of the more underrated and one of the more consistent relievers in baseball. I know he had that rough outing against the Cubs, but that was some really bad defense being played behind him also. 2 errors in that 8th inning. I think he's a guy that's going to be really good this season. He was pretty good for the Red Sox and the Braves in his past few seasons. So I really like what I've seen out of the bullpen. It's been kind of surprising, but I've been a big fan of it so far, and I think it could continue. Excuse me.
Yeah, I've been impressed. Just looking at some of these guys, it's been completely rebuilt. Martin, I think, is kind of looking to fill that maybe David Robertson role, that savvy veteran. But Luke Jackson, I got to give him his flowers. One of the league leaders in saves. The Rangers lead the entire American League in saves, actually, right now. It's been impressive. Luke Jackson's been very consistent. You know, it's been like, I don't know how long it's going to keep up. Obviously, there's always going to be ups and downs, but the bullpen's been very, very solid. Ian, what have you seen from the bullpen so far?
Yeah, I mean, if you would have asked me at the beginning of the season who I thought the closer was going to be, my answer would have been Chris Martin.
Me
it
too.
Would not have been Luke Jackson. But he's been incredible. Like you said, he's got 5 saves already early in the season. He's got kind of a rough ERA, 4.5, but it's mostly from that big blown save that he had on opening day, which obviously meant us all turned against him like immediately.
I know, immediately.
But now he's got 5 saves and he's looking great. And that also kind of goes to show our earlier point that these early stats in baseball can be just so volatile. They're so prone to change, and so it's important for us not to over-exaggerate as fans. I think it's important for us to take away the good. And that's especially important with this bullpen because this bullpen's been great.
Yeah, I think that's a great point, and it was really a great finish to that Cubs series. So I want to look ahead to the Mariners series. The Rangers will be on the road once again as they go on a big-time Western road trip right now. But it's going to be a very important series, I think, here against an AL West division rival, just kind of trying to regain some momentum here. And I think that last Cubs game is going to go a long way in doing that. Nick, what are you looking to see from the Rangers in this Mariners series?
The Mariners are a team that have kind of been a similar story to the Rangers this season. They're a team that's built off their pitching. Their offense has struggled this year and in years past. Right now, they're second worst in the major leagues in batting average. So I think that the main key for the Rangers in this series is to try and get to this tough pitching staff early. The Mariners will have guys like Bryce Miller, Wu, and Logan Gilbert out there. Those are some good pitchers. So if the Rangers can get their bats going and get to these guys, put a tough Mariners offense in a hole early, I think they'll be able to have some success and take 2 out of 3 on the road.
Yeah, I'm trying to tamper my expectations a little bit because the bats have been cold, and I don't know if I would expect them to necessarily get going the way we want them to against the Mariners because of that excellent pitching staff. But you know, the thing that makes me encouraged about the series is who we're sending to the mound, right? Obviously, the Mariners have a great staff, but we're sending DeGrom, Rocker, and Eovaldi. It doesn't get much better than that for us. I mean, DeGrom had like the worst outing we've ever seen him in a Rangers uniform. We still won that game.
Exactly.
You know, and of course, Eovaldi has a complete game already. Rocker looked great in his last start, so I'm very excited to watch this series. This time of year, every time we have an off day, I start like twitching a little bit.
I know,
like,
right?
I want to watch more Rangers.
Yeah.
So I'm just excited to see him back out there, and I think it's going to be a great series.
Yeah, I agree. It's going to be a very, very good series, and it's going to be exciting to watch, obviously, the pitchers, and hopefully those bats can get going. But now we're going to go down to UNT softball coming up next.
Has this ever happened to you?
My bike! My bike is gone!
Stolen bikes are an epidemic sweeping college campuses across America.
What am I supposed to do?
It's quite simple. The We Mean Green Fund has partnered with the UNT Police Department to offer free bike locks to any UNT student with a bike. Just show up with your bike in tow and ask.
Now I'll never lose my bike ever again.
Enough worrying. Get your bike lock today.
I use Flex to buy my favorite snacks.
I use Flex to get me through my mornings.
I use Flex at my favorite campus restaurants. I love how Flex is a cashless payment method and can be used at all campus dining venues.
So, how do you use Flex?
I wonder what's on the radio today. I don't know about this. This is not it.
Everything alternative, commercial free. 88.1 Indie.
Here at KNTU, we have 2 traditional stations, 88.1 Indie and KNTU Jazz. We've also recently launched an internet radio station called Mean Green Hits. If you want to hear more, you can check us out at MediaNorthTexas.com.
That was pretty good.
Welcome back to SportsZone. I'm joined by Oscar Chavez and Jack Shrupsha, and we're going to talk some UNT softball. They've been off to a very, very good season so far. It's kind of right in the heart of it. They've had a so far 28-13 record. It's been a pretty impressive season for UNT softball. Oscar, what have you seen from them so far, and how are you thinking they're going to do going into this weekend series?
Well, you're talking about them being really good, and I hate to say that they've been pretty average on the road, though.
On the road, yes.
Yes, but they've been smashing, whether it be home games, conference games, and even tournament games. I mean, they won, or at least went undefeated in the 6th Barn Earth Invitational. But key performances from the lineup have been consistent. It feels like every player has had a signature moment, whether it be Moore's 4 hits against Tulsa, Sparks' 2 homers against Charlotte. I mean, this team has been really consistent. I could go on, but just not going to.
Yeah, okay, so it's been interesting. Obviously, they've been great in tournaments, and then at home only 4 losses. But like you said, the road has been a little bit more of a challenge. Jack, what have you seen from UNT softball so far this season?
I mean, I think it's been a real solid season for them so far. I mean, you guys kind of mentioned it a little bit. I mean, 10-5 in conference play, 9-4 at home. You obviously would hope for a little more consistency on the road, but I think that's something that hopefully this upcoming series against FAU, they could get some wins on the road there. But I think it's been a real impressive season for them, and I look forward to them continuing to rack up some wins. So.
Yeah, definitely. UNT had been rolling, obviously, on a 6-game win streak, and then it was finally snapped by a 6-3 loss to Tarleton State. So that was sort of maybe a reality check. You know, obviously, every once in a while, you're just going to have one of those games. But over that 6-game winning streak, I want to talk about that because that can't be ignored. Oscar, what do you see from UNT as a whole over that streak, and do you think they'll be able to get back on track?
I mean, I saw a lot of runs during that streak. 67 runs in 6 games, that's averaging more than 10 runs a game. It is truly a remarkable offense, but something that can be a little bit streaky is their pitching. They don't have a whole lot of depth on that side and rank around 4th in the American in terms of ERA. So if they get pitching right and the bats get hot again, it's going to be a really good team.
Yeah, it's going to be very exciting to watch. Jack, what did you see from them over that 6-game win streak, and what kind of momentum or, could they really pick up to kind of get going once again?
I mean, I think that 6-game winning streak was probably the best softball we've seen from them all season long. I mean, you hit it right on the spot there. 67 runs in a 6-game span is really impressive. But the fact that they completely dominated, too, and outscored the opponents in those 6 games, 67-16, like they dominated. Not only just put runs on the board, but with that big of a margin is really stands out to me. But I expect them to really pick up that momentum again. I think they were just a little burnt out against Tarleton State. I mean, a lot of games in just a short period of time. I mean, that'll happen from time to time, but I expect them to bounce back going forward.
Yeah, certainly. And UNT has so many great players on this team. We talked about some of the depth in this lineup. Pitching, it's been a little more up and down, but Skylar Savage, I mean, has been incredible. It's going to be exciting to watch her take the circle in this upcoming matchup. But Jack, what have you seen so far, looking as a whole, and which of the players have been most impressive to you?
Obviously, talking about the amount of runs that they've been putting up, especially in that 6-game span. I mean, you had mentioned how there's been a lot of hero play. Obviously, we hope to see hero play, from the pitching, hopefully some point down the road. But Kaylin Bearpaw leading the way with 8 home runs for them. So that's been a player who's really stuck out to me. I really love the way she's been hitting this season.
Yeah, and for me, I said I was going to go on. It was Skylar Savage. She's had 7 strikeout games. I mean, 3 7-strikeout games. Sorry, I had to get that right. And against Southern Illinois, Tarleton State, and Troy. Riley McNeemer has also gone off grand slam against Texas Tech. Kaylee Bearpaw with 8 home runs, like you mentioned. So this team has a bunch of players that can perform and really just step up when the time is needed.
Yeah, definitely, and it's going to be very exciting to see how they do in this upcoming series. They're in Boca Raton, Florida, trying to get back on track. They have a 3-game weekend series, and they had a sort of unlikely meetup with the Costco guys, if you guys saw that video, going crazy on the socials. We'll see. Can UNT softball bring the boom against number 25 Florida Atlantic?
I think they can. I think they kind of didn't really look that good against Tarleton State just because they were burnt out. But I mean, they're gonna have to play their absolute best. I mean, FAU ranks 1st in the American Athletic Conference in pitching, fielding, and hitting, where UNT ranks 4th, and 3rd in those categories. So, but I think they could still absolutely go toe-to-toe with this team. So I expect it to be a real competitive series, and you hope to see them escape with a win or hopefully multiple.
Yeah, and I agree. It's very good. It's going to be very competitive. It's going to be very close. FAU has yet to drop a conference series in the whole season, and UNT has gotten the best of the Owls the past 3 series. The last 6 games have been only determined by 1 run, so I do expect to be very close, very competitive. But hey, I got the Mean Green on top.
All right, I like to hear it. So I want to ask you again, Jack, just looking at this series as a whole, obviously it's a 3-game road series, and we've talked about some of their road struggles. Do you think they're going to be able to get back on track and really lock in here on the road? Maybe the Costco guys give them some extra support?
Yeah, I think the Costco guys did give them support. I expect them to bounce back. Again, just you have one of those games that kind of just fall on the face a little bit. Had 9 runners left on base against Tarleton State. I mean, that was a very winnable game, but it kind of slipped away from them. But I think although a little bit of inconsistency on the road for them this season, I expect them to bounce back.
Yeah, and I do too. This team can rake. I mean, it averages 316 on the year as a team total and with an OPS of 899. So this team can win. And especially because 4 of the 6 games that we were talking about on that win streak, they got shortened due to mercy rule. I mean, they were just kicking their butt, laying down the boom.
Yeah, absolutely, and it's going to be very interesting to watch this one because it's such an important, series for not only just, the momentum, but obviously this is a ranked team, a ranked conference opponent at that. So it's going to be very important as we get, closer and closer to tournament time. Here against Florida Atlantic, we've talked about sort of the up and downs and, of course, the road thing, but I think it's going to be interesting to see how this team does from a pitching standpoint. Jack, what are you looking to see from the pitchers in this matchup?
Hopefully, Skylar Savage, you hit on her a little bit, how impressive she's been this year. She's going to have to be her best. I mean, I mentioned it, how when you're playing the best team in the conference and a ranked national team, you have to play your absolute best. So the pitching is probably going to be the most crucial part of the game, or each game for this series, in my opinion. So you hope for Skylar Savage to play at her best, and hopefully those the deaf people could step in and help out as well.
Yeah, and I agree 100% with it. It's going to be completely relying on pitching just because you've had so many heroes come in with their bat throughout the whole season. However, when it's come to pitching, it's just been a little streaky. So if Savage can go more than just 0.1 inning from Tarleton State, she did not complete that first inning. If she can really just set the tone and establish maybe 5 innings, you're not going to need so much from your relievers, and you're not going to rely so much on depth.
Yeah, I think that's an important point, and obviously depth, it's going to play a role, as we go definitely late into this season going towards the conference tournament. And I want to preview that just a little bit, obviously. The ACC tournament's still a month plus away. We have a little bit of time, but this team has been very strong throughout the year. Jack, do you think that they can make a run in this AAC tournament?
I think they absolutely can. I mean, putting up wins in softball, when they play as often as you do. I mean, this is like if they could get hot at the right time, then they could go as far as really they want to. If they get hot at the right time. I mean, starting off the season 15-2. Yes. I mean, they looked real good. But 13-11 since the start of March. They've been kind of just a streaky team this year.
Exactly.
But I think if they could play really competitive, not even necessarily go 3-0 or 2-1, but if they could just be competitive with FAU, maybe just a few close losses, I think they could build on that. I expect them to win in the upcoming series against UAB, competitive against South Florida. Curious to see how they play against OSU, rematch against them. They got dominated by them earlier this year. But if they get hot at the right time, I think they could definitely make a run in this tournament.
Yeah, I think that's a really great way to put it. Oscar, do you think they can get hot at the right time and make a run?
I think it's definitely a possibility, but it's going to be hard. Like you're saying, baseball and softball is a game of momentum. And if you have momentum swinging on your side going into the conference play, then hey, Tatum's just going to put the offense on her back and just completely dominate that tournament. I think if she has the opportunity, she will take full advantage of it.
Yeah, batting .349 on the season. That's going to be definitely a player to watch going in. Tatum Sparks, remember her name. She might be the spark this team needs. So we're going to move on going into UFC 314.
Hey, it's Big Boom AJ. And UNT softball brings the boom.
Looking to open a free checking or savings account but don't know where to start? Check out DatQ Credit Union right here on campus. Get your Mean Green debit card instantly or apply for a DatQ Visa credit card today. Your school, your card. Plus, make deposits at their 24/7 ATM, checks or cash whenever you need it. Make sure to sign up for DatQ's online banking platform and mobile app for easy access anytime, anywhere. Visit them at www.datq.org to learn more. DatQ, the official financial institution of UNT Athletics.
Are you looking for a fun club with travel opportunities? Dive into the UNT Swim Club. Practicing Monday, Wednesday, and Fridays from 7 to 9 p.m. at the Pole Recreation Center. We accept members at any skill level. For more information, reach out to us at unt.swimclub on Instagram.
Are you tired of seeing the same old city? You want to learn something and go overseas? Then study abroad with one of many UNT Study Abroad programs. You can find a Study Abroad office right here at Markey Hall, room 145.
My study abroad program left on me a great impression. We have a lot of different programs and it varies. We have faculty-led, affiliate, and exchange programs. When you're ready to leave for your study abroad program from UNT, you're going to go through pre-departure orientation and modules so that you are prepared.
The power to turn the world into your classroom is right here at UNT with our study abroad programs. Take flight and take in charge of your education.
Welcome back to SportsZone. I'm your host, Steven Lucero, and the UFC is returning to Miami this weekend for UFC 314. Joining me to talk about it, Matthew McDowell and London Stewart, and we're in for a pretty interesting card, Definitely not the most deep one, I would say, but we got some very top-heavy and exciting matchups to look out for. So want to start with the main event, title bout, Alexander Volkanovski and Diego Lopez. This is going to be a good one. These are two fierce fighters. Matthew, what are you looking to see from this one?
Before I start, when you said it's not the most top-heavy, it may not be the most top-heavy, but this will be a very exciting card.
Absolutely.
But looking at the championship fight, Alexander Volkanovski versus Diego Lopez, this will definitely be a tale of the styles fight. I mean, Alexander Volkanovski, he is such a balanced fighter. He can knock you out. He can submit you. He can take you to 5 rounds and win you by decision. Lopez, he's very good. I mean, he's also a very balanced fighter. He's won 12 of his fights by submission and 10 by KO. He's only lost 1 fight in the UFC, and that's the #1 ranked featherweight in the world right now. But Lopez has also only had 1 5-round fight in his career, and he lost the split decision. So, I mean, I think it's going to be a very good fight. Lopez, I see maybe more paths to victory. I mean, but when he swings, he opens up a little bit. He kind of leaves his jaw hanging out there. And a guy like Volkanovski, who's been there, done that, he can make him pay with that. And another thing with Volkanovski, I think people aren't really kind of keeping him to the stature of like how he has been. He's lost 3 of his last 4 fights, but those fights have been to the #1 pound-for-pound fighter in Islam Makhachev, in which one of those fights I think he won. Let's just get that out of the way. Okay. And the #2 pound-for-pound fighter in Ilia Topuria. So, I mean, some people are saying he's maybe washed a little bit. I completely disagree. I think he's super good. I think he's one of the most balanced fighters in the UFC, and I honestly think he gets it done by decision.
Okay, interesting. Volkanovski, obviously the 37-year-old, is a veteran, but I'd agree. I wouldn't call him washed quite yet. I think he's going to have a very, very good fight here. Diego Lopez, though, might have something to say. London, how are you feeling?
Yeah, these are really 2 really good fighters, and they're both are well balanced. But I feel like Lopez is better in the submission aspect. Mm-hmm. Lopez is coming off of most recent a win, and Volkanovski is coming off a loss. But I think that Lopez will get the advantage over Volkanovski in the submission aspect of his game.
Yeah, and that's going to be a key point there. So, Matthew, what do you think it's going to take for Volkanovski to defend and really take this one deep? Because I think that one, I don't know, maybe that will make a difference for him.
I mean, it's a little bit of a cliche, but weather the storm a little bit. I think Lopez comes out flying. I mean, his last fights have all been by knockout, Sodiq Yusuff and other guys. But, I mean, weather the storm, Lopez will come out. I mean, this is his first title fight in the UFC. I mean, I can't get over these two. I mean, choosing between these guys, I love to watch both these guys fight. But weather the storm, I mean, Volkanovski is very good on the ground game. We saw in his fight versus Yair Rodriguez, he rocked him on the feet, didn't over-rush and try to knock him out and waste all his energy like a fighter that we might be talking about later. Michael Chandler took him down, ground and pound him, finished him in 3rd round TKO. So, I mean, I think Volk is a very smart fighter. I mean, he's no rookie for sure. Nope. But, I mean, just stick to his game plan, and I think he gets it done.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to watch. And Lopez, like we said, he's going to come out swinging. You talked about it, London. Do you think that he has what it takes to end this fight early?
Him being a veteran and in the UFC, I do feel that Lopez will get him on the fatigue aspect, coming down, especially with the ground and pound aspect of this game. But I do feel Lopez being a younger guy and him coming off so much momentum, we all know in any sport, momentum is a big thing as well. But Lopez has to stay patient. UFC, you can't come out, striving to be too fast. But I feel like Lopez, he'll win in this game. And fatigue will be the big part in this matchup.
Yeah, this is going to be a very tough one. I have mixed feelings, but I think I got to go with Lopez. I think the momentum will carry him to a victory here. But we got to move on and talk about your guy, Michael Chandler, and his matchup against Paddy Pimblett. It's going to be a very good one here. Michael Chandler trying to kind of regain some momentum, I think, on his part. How are you feeling, Matthew, about this fight?
I mean, it's a little bit similar to maybe the Alexander Volkanovski fight. Chandler has lost 4 of his last 5 fights. Yep. To 3 different fighters, but all those fighters are future Hall of Famers. Charles Oliveira, Justin Gaethje, Dustin Poirier, and his one win is over Tony Ferguson as of recent, but I mean, I'm not really going to talk about Tony Ferguson just because he's on downward spiral. But, I mean, I think this is also a little bit like the Lopez or Paddy Pimblett. He's coming in this fight. He's really on a heater with that win over King Green. I mean, I was kind of on the edge about Paddy Pimblett. He had a really bad showing against Jared Gordon. I think that was a complete robbery that Paddy won that fight. But then he rocks King Green on the feet where Bobby King Green is better. And then he takes him down and puts him out cold. He had him in a triangle and an armbar at the same time. So, I mean, the difference in this fight, I think Chandler has everything to lose and Pimblett has everything to gain. So going in this fight, that could be the differentiator of the two. But I think it's going to be a really good matchup, and I think we have a lot to see from Paddy Pimblett, and he can prove a lot. I'm still kind of on the edge about him because Bobby Green lost to Jalen Turner, who lost to Ignacio Bahamondes, who's just now really making his rise. But I think Paddy has everything to gain, and Chandler has everything to lose.
Yeah, I think that's a very interesting way to put it. Chandler, another veteran, but we talked about it. He's been struggling lately, and it's just another one where can the younger guy take advantage? London, how are you feeling about this matchup, and do you think he can take advantage?
Yeah, like you said, Michael Chandler has been struggling. Him losing to Pitbull early on in his record, but Pimblett is a great guy as well. I feel like he's beating Chandler in the reach aspect and the weight aspect of this game, but I do feel that Pimblett will win this match by submission.
Okay, Matthew, who are you predicting on this one?
I kind of want to say Pimblett just because I was saying he has everything to gain and nothing to lose, but I just feel like there's still a lot of unknown with Paddy the Baddy. So against my own judgment, I'm going Chandler by second round TKO or KO.
Yeah, I think I'm going to agree with you on this one. I think Michael Chandler does have what it takes to bounce back here. I mean, he's been spiraling a little bit. It's got to stop the bleeding somewhere, and I think he's going to do it here by enforcing his will. So it's going to be interesting to watch. But you talked about Patricio Pitbull, and that's exactly where we're going next. Him in the featherweight bout against Yair Rodriguez. It's going to be another very good matchup here. London, I'll start with you this time. What are you looking to see from this one?
Yeah, Yair Rodriguez is one of the best strikers in the UFC. I do see him coming out, fast in this game as well. Pitbull, he is a really good fighter as well. But with Yair, he's the guy who really gets you. Once he hits you, he keeps going. He has the momentum aspect in this game. And I do feel like later on, I feel like every match in the main card is going to go down to the wire, to the third, either by decision or submission in the third round. So I'm going with Yair Rodriguez right here because I do feel his striking ability is one of the best in the UFC.
All right, Matthew?
I mean, I can't disagree with London. I mean, you see the strikes, his highlight reel knockout over Andre Feely, what he's done versus Josh Emmett in that interim title bout. He actually submitted Josh Emmett using his striking to set that up with the body blows. But, I mean, we see Pitbull, coming from Bellator. He was a featherweight and lightweight champion. Even though it's Bellator and maybe the talent's maybe not as up to par as UFC, he still was a double champ. I mean, he was unstoppable, beating the likes of Michael Chandler and more. Yair Rodriguez, he's so flexible, he's so crafty, he's so unpredictable. I mean, his strikes can really throw anyone off. Like, he's a little bit, I don't know if he's as unpredictable as Stephen Wonderboy Thompson. I'll compare the two of them. I'm a big Wonderboy guy. But, I mean, his strikes are just so good. I mean, they're second to none in that division and arguably the most unpredictable and best in the UFC. But Pitbull is so balanced. He's got 13 wins by TKO or knockout and 11 wins by submission. I mean, I think Pitbull's probably the more balanced fighter, and I think he is the better fighter overall. I think I'm going to go Pitbull by submission.
Okay, how are you feeling about that, London?
Yeah, that's a great point because I also just seen, but Yair Rodriguez with having a longer reach and being a very good striker, that's a big thing as well. I feel like if he stays off the ground, he'll beat Pitbull in this matchup. But also he cannot get complacent on Pitbull from him making his debut in the UFC.
Yeah.
But I do feel Yair Rodriguez is going to win this matchup due to his reach and his striking ability.
All right, I think I'm going to go with London this time. I'm flipping back and forth. I think Yair does have what it takes to get this one done. It's going to be a good matchup, though. Pitbull is one of these guys that you just never know. He's unpredictable, but I think Rodriguez will kind of weather this storm, and I think it's going to be an interesting matchup for sure. But into the featherweight bout, Bryce Mitchell and John Silva, another good matchup here. Matthew, what are you looking to see from this one?
I'm really excited to see the matchup of these guys. John Silva, if you don't know who he is, you should know who he is. This guy fights like an animal that's got rabies. I mean, he is insane. As you can see on the graphic right now, he's got those glasses on. That represents his fighting team, the Fighting Nerds, with the likes of Caio Bahayo, Mauricio Ruffi, and Carlos Perates. They're all undefeated in the UFC. I think that is one of the best and the most promising upcoming teams coming into the UFC and MMA. Bryce Mitchell, he's more experienced. He's suffered some pretty bad losses recently to Josh Emmett. That was nasty. If you haven't seen it, look it up on YouTube. You'll be like, whoa, if that doesn't get you into UFC, I don't know what will. But I'm really excited for this fight. I think John Silva has a lot to prove going to this fight. I mean, he's knocked out a bunch of guys in the UFC, but those guys have been lower tier, kind of no names. I don't want to say no names because they're in the UFC.
Exactly.
They could whoop me any day of the week. But I mean, John Silva hasn't fought the Josh Emmett or Sadiq Youssef like Bryce Mitchell has. So I mean, it'll be definitely an exciting fight. I mean, it will be interesting to see what strategy Bryce Mitchell comes in with because, I mean, John Silva, he is an animal.
Yeah, it's going to be exciting to watch. Matthew in the octagon, you making your debut? It'd be exciting. But John Silva, Bryce Mitchell, this is another very interesting one like you talked about. I think these are two guys that, both are just trying to kind of prove themselves and really prove that not only, of course, they belong. We talked about the UFC, but really establish themselves and continue to move up the ranks. London, how are you feeling about this matchup, and who do you think takes it?
Yeah, Mitchell, he's more of a patient fighter as well.
Yeah,
but John
that's a good way to
Silva,
put it.
John Silva can be, a little bit rambunctious at times. Losing his technique, especially going on in those later rounds, fighting against guys who wrestle and get on the ground. But Mitchell, him having, sort of a slope, a downhill, but John Silva is one of the more exciting guys as well to watch. But I do feel John Silva 3rd round knockout.
Okay, calling it there. Matthew, how are you feeling about this one? Do you think it goes deep, or do you think we see a KO?
I mean, when I was doing my studying up and research for this fight, I was all on the John Silva train. I was like, this guy's an animal. He's unstoppable. The fighting nerds are so good. But recently today in the UFC media today, in a question by the crowd, they asked Bryce Mitchell, because John Silva came out with a quote that said, Bryce Mitchell, after this fight, he'll have to retire from brain damage. But when his response to that question was, I was born with brain damage, brother. Just because that, I'm going Bryce Mitchell by however he wants. If you say a quote like that, you got to back it up. Bryce Mitchell by whatever way he wants.
Yeah, how are you feeling about that quote, London? Do you think that'll get him maybe some extra something to fight for there?
That is beyond. That's crazy. That right there, that describes UFC right there.
Yeah, that's straight out of Arkansas. That's Bryce. That's right up.
Cauliflower ears, brain damage. That is UFC for you right there. But John Silva, that is his style of fighting. That wild, style of fighting. But I'm still gonna stand firm on John Silva in this one. Mitchell, he has to pick his momentum back up as well. And, that is a good thing to consider. Retirement, though, especially losing a lot of fights. These guys do take a lot of body damage as well. But Silva, he's pretty on the rise. He's a guy that really he looks like he doesn't care about anything for real. But I like Silva in this one, pretty much. I'm standing on that.
All right. I'll take it. Bryce Mitchell, he's going to have a chip on his shoulder for sure. But I don't know. I think John Silva gets it too. Yeah. It's just he's been insane, and it's going to be a very insane card. It's going to be exciting to watch. But that will do it for us from our show. Thank you guys so much for watching. Be sure to follow us at NTTV_sports to see some behind-the-scenes content. Stay up to date with everything we have going on. But for now, be sure to stay tuned for NTTV Nightly News.